Hey guys, it's Steve for CollectorMania. We're here doing our follow-up video for 32. We're moving on to Simic now, which is pretty exciting. This is one of my favorite color pairs. I'm pretty sure everybody's favorite color pairs. It definitely lends itself to being built. There are a million different commanders that you can use in here. I've done Prime Speaker Zagana, I've done Thrasios, I've done who knows, a million of them. Right now, my flavor is Rashmi. She's really cool. I don't. If you don't know what she does, I'll read her for you really quick. She's two colorless, a green and a blue. She's legendary elf druid, 2/3. Pretty cool, not bad stats. But her text is: whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than that the spells, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast the revealed card, put it in your hand. So essentially, it's like a little miniature cascade. It's, of course, only the first spell you cast each turn, but you can manipulate that however you want to. So anyway, with that, we'll get into the mana ramp and fix like usual. There's quite a few cards in here. This is blue-green once again, so there's quite a list, as you'll see on the slideshow on the side. But some highlights here are like Kiora's Follower. This card doesn't really come up that often outside of these colors, of course, because it is green-blue, so it does require you to kind of have, of course, both those colors. But it's actually really useful because it can untap any permanent. Mostly I use it for mana ramp, but you can definitely use it late game to just untap one of your big creatures that you just attacked with. Or if you need to like double activate an ability or something like that. So just a really cool little kind of, I don't know, niche creature that fits right into these colors. Plus it's a merfolk, so tribal merfolk is definitely a thing. On from that, we've got Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. This guy is crazy. He's really, really good in creature decks, which unfortunately this one's not so much, but it definitely works here because it can produce 2 mana, which is really, really cool actually. And it has a secondary ability of being able to finish off the game, late game if you get, a ton of mana and everybody else has, like, say for example, if you overload Cyclonic Rift, no one has any creatures on the board and you have 2 or 3. You just activate his ability and then you've just won the game, essentially. So, pretty cool. What's the card that it's based on? Is that Biorhythm?
That is one of them.
The big one, yeah. So essentially like a legal biorhythm, which is pretty cool. On from that, we've got Crufex, God of the Horizons. This card is insane. It could be a commander on its own right, really. It is kind of like Omnath, in a way that it stores mana. It is colorless compared to Omnath's green mana, but really, in this deck, you're just looking for the giant source of colorless mana to cast your first spell and make it big. Like, really, now that I think about it, there should probably be some more X spells in here, but I always, it's funny, whenever I'm doing these videos, I always go into fine-tuning mode, and then it's just like, oh, I should have added this. But you guys can, of course, throw in some comments about that and, say, hey, you should add this X spell or this X spell. Anyway, on from that, we've got Zendikar Resurgent. This is an amazing enchantment that came out in Zendikar, Battle for Zendikar, I believe.
Oath, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Oath of the Gatewatch. Anyway, it's a ridiculous card. I think this is one that you should probably start grabbing up now. It's going to go up someday. It's going to be just like any of those other crazy spells that double your mana, essentially. This one has the huge upside of whenever you play a creature, you can draw a card. So really, I mean, if you're playing a heavy creature deck, you can just keep drawing, and then you have the mana to pay for it too. So yeah, 7 cost enchantment, but it's definitely worth it. And then we've got, some of the usual suspects like Rampant Growth, Kadama's Reach, Explosive Vegetation, those kind of things, Sakura Tribe Elder, just those common things. And then Ash Barrens. This is a newer card. It's actually really cool. It's got land cycling on it. It just taps for colorless, but honestly, I don't ever really play it as a colorless land. I just go and find whatever I'm missing most of the time. It has the upside of just being able to pay 2 colorless into it to go land cycle. So, really cool card. I'm really happy they made it in the Commander product. So on from that, we're actually going on to card advantage here. Blue-green, of course, this is a huge thing. So Coiling Oracle is the first card that I like to highlight here. It's just a fun little creature. It comes out, it reveals the top card of your library, or I think you just look at the top card of your library. I can never remember.
Reveal, yeah.
Okay, so you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, it goes on the battlefield. If not, it goes to your hand. So either way, you're getting some advantage. For 2 mana, that's not terrible. Plus, Snake Elf Druid. That's a pretty interesting creature type. And then we've got Thrasios, Triton Hero. This guy is really, really cool. He, outside of Rashmi, is probably my favorite Simic commander. It's a different type of deck, and I actually use it as a partner commander, which is partially why it's not the commander here, just because I don't want to double up, too much on the same commander. But his ability is insane. You really you just kind of stabilize with him, and you're probably going to win the game. Just keep activating the ability, keep getting your lands, keep having just a ridiculous hand because you're just going to continue to draw cards. And the fact that it scries before it even lets you do anything is insane. And just 4 colorless to activate the ability, it seems high, but once you start playing extra lands on everybody else's turn, it just takes off. So yes, highly recommended. Amazing commander. Okay, on from that, we've got another amazing, ridiculous commander, but this one's more of a has been built a million times before, in my opinion, so it's a little bit, I don't know, stale to me. But that's Edric, Spymaster of Trust. This guy is ridiculous. I've seen several builds of him with just a ton of little tiny creatures that swing at you and have unblockable. I even saw an Infect build that was just ridiculous. Oh man, I wish I had a Bonfire of the Damned in that situation, but of course I didn't. But anyway, this guy is crazy. He's great for politics. You throw him out there, no one's really going to attack you because they don't draw cards off you, that kind of thing. Usually it just provides you a huge advantage, and it's very deceptive in the way that it does it too, because usually you're swinging with your creatures and just drawing cards, and yeah, really, really cool card. Then we've got a really happy pickup that I did a long time ago, which is Ancestral Visions. I actually got into it before the price spike happened the first time. I think it was like $17 when I got it, so really, really lucky on this one. It might have even been cheaper. I think I bought my first ones when they were like 10 or something. It's a long time ago. But anyway, this card is ridiculously amazing. Any deck that's playing blue should probably, if they can, pick up a copy of this. You just play it on turn 1 and you just wait. It's going to refill your hand and you're going to be really happy that you played it. So that's Ancestral Visions. And then we've got Rishgar's Expertise. This is a newer card, so I'm actually going to pull it up here just so I don't mess anything up here. So it reads, draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So once again, you'll see there's quite a few big creatures in here. And then it says, you may cast a card with converted mana cost 5 or less. So this kind of pairs up with Rashmi, because not only is it going to let you reveal the top card if this is your first spell, but then you can cast another spell from your hand. So you're getting 2 spells for free off of 1 spell. It's kind of really interesting. I think Baral's Expertise is in here as well for that same reason. So really cool cards. I'm really happy they printed this cycle as well, because there is one in each color, so awesome cycle. And then we've got kind of a tech thing here with Soothsaying. Obviously, being able to manipulate the top of your library when you're trying to cast spells for free off of the top is really cool. I really need to grab a Sensei's Divining Top for this, and maybe even a Scroll Rack, but this is the one that I could find right now. And Soothsaying is a very underrated enchantment. It was actually shown to me by Seth many, many years ago when we were building 1v1 decks, and he said, because I brought up the point that, oh, I can't play top, blah, 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 and he's like, well, just try Soothsaying. So anyway, if you don't have a copy of Soothsaying, I'd definitely look at it. It's a really, really cool card. It's, like I said, it's underplayed, so check it out. Okay, with that, we've got kind of a small section here. Not too many cards in here, recur things, but there are a few big ones. Wildest Dreams is the one I'd like to highlight here. It's a rather new card. The thing that I really like about it is that you can pay X into it, so it kind of goes along with the Rashmi theme. But the big thing is that it can grab pretty much all the stuff that you need. It's kind of like a Season's Pass that's way more expensive, of course, because 6 mana to grab CMC, from 0 to 1,000,000 is great. But this one, how many ever cards you want to grab from your library, you just pay into it. So really, really cool card. And like I said, I just wanted to kind of focus that one. Other cards in here, like Green Warden of, I still can't say that word, Marasa. Yeah, Eric's laughing at me right now because every time I see it, I'm just like, what is that? I don't even know. Stuff like that. Elixir of Immortality, we've talked about a million times. Mnemonic Wall, it's okay. It's like a downgraded Archaeomancer in my opinion, because it costs 1 more and it's a wall, so you can't even attack with it. But sometimes you need that. So anyway, that's Recursion. And then we'll move on to Response and Removal. The first card I'd like to really talk about here is Trigon Predator. I can remember when I first started playing EDH, this card was actually kind of expensive. Now they've reprinted it to Oblivion, which is kind of cool in my opinion. It's deceptively good. It's kind of like, I don't know, an acidic slime that just keeps happening. Of course, it can't hit lands, but anyway, it's a great attacker. It has flying, so it's got the evasion built into it. You can just swing at somebody and destroy something. So really cool card. I like it a lot. I definitely recommend playing with it. Then we've got, some disruption, like our counter spells like Mystic Snake, great card. Venser, Shaper Savant, obviously a great card. Then we've got Draining Welk, which is the big one. I love this card. I have it in pretty much any deck that kind of supports more of like a creature kind of control-y kind of thing. It's an amazing card that just scales with whatever you're going to counter. So somebody goes to like in Garrick's Wake, and all of a sudden you've got a giant flying monster, and you've saved your entire board. So yeah, it's a really cool card. We've got stuff like Cyclonic Rift, of course, Naturalize, Negate, Reality Shift, all those staples. And then we got onto Void Slime. Now I know there's a upgraded version of this currently in Disallow. Really cool card. I like both of them. I think I will always cherish my Void Slimes though, because this card did that way before that card even was probably even thought of. So it's definitely something that I would include in your Simic decks, and maybe hold, of course, disallow for your other ones that are more tricolor kind of stuff, because the mana cost can get a little tough. But yeah, just a great card. And then we've got things like Rewind and then Mystic Confluence. I know that I've talked about this card in another video, but I will just continue to say how good this card is. It is ridiculous. It is this era's Cryptic Command. Like, there's no question about that. It is insane. And I keep trying to pick up copies of it. I know that whenever I see one, I try and buy it. And I definitely would recommend that to anybody that's looking for a really cool counterspell that's modal. So there we go with that. Okay, and then we've kind of got a huge section here with utility and value. I know that basically means the same thing, but I know some people look at utility like utility creatures, so I didn't really want to mix that up, so I threw value on there anyway. Some of the big creatures like Chasm Skulker. Now this guy is crazy, especially when the amount of spells that you're going to be casting with this deck. He's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and once again, if you have like Edric and he dies, and then you have a million tiny squids and you're just swinging at everybody and drawing a ton of cards. Really, really cool card. And then we've got one of my wife's favorite cards of all time, which she will tell you this creature is just insane, and that's Managorja Hydra. This thing is crazy. It scales, it gets huge. It has trample, which is the really big thing. It only costs 3, so it's really not bad to play. She actually has it in her Sylvala deck, and in that deck it gets insane because it just makes Sylvala tap for 1,000,000. So really, really cool card. And then we've got Altered Ego. It's one of our clone effects. We have quite a few in here actually, because this deck is kind of built around cloning other people's creatures and stealing like their Avacens and stuff like that. The really cool thing with Altered Ego is that it is an X spell, so you can kind of manipulate, like, once again, the mana cost with it, so it helps Rashmi that way. But you can also just kind of make whatever you're cloning just a little bit bigger, or way bigger if you have a ton of mana kind of thing. So if you've had your Thrasios sitting out there for a few turns and you've got just a bajillion, you can definitely do some fun stuff. Then we've got Shakashima's Student. I really like this guy because he can kind of... My favorite thing to do really is to kind of play a clone, and then when you kind of lose the value of that creature that has been cloned, you can use Shakashima's Student to basically switch it out. So you attack with the creature that's been cloned. It doesn't, you do the whole ninjutsu thing. Shakashima's Student comes out. You put whatever you have the clone with back into your hand. Now you have Shakashima's Student. It's just a really fun little interaction that I really like to do. And once again, clone cards I really like. So, and then we've got Murkfiend Liege. This guy's kind of like a weird Seedborn Muse. It doesn't really necessarily untap your lands or anything like that, but it does do all your creatures, and as you've seen before or earlier, there are quite a few creatures that can untap your mana or just tap 4 mana, stuff like that, so it's really cool. And then we've got Seedborn Muse, of course, which is the one that you're really looking for, but Murkfiend works in a pinch. Seedborn Muse is an amazing card. I know that we've talked about it before again, and it's crazy. A lot of people hate this card for a good reason. It's definitely not as broken as Prophet of Krufix because it doesn't give creatures flash and all that good stuff, but it's still really, really good. Okay, and then another new card, As Foretold. This card, I know when it was first coming out, everybody was kind of worried about it. Now that I've actually gotten the chance to play with it, it's really not that off the chains. It can be if you use it right. In this deck, I definitely feel like you can use it right. Essentially, you just kind of scale it up, get those counters on it, and then you can start just casting things for free. So once again, it fits right into the theme of casting spells for free with Rashmi, but now you've got a crazy enchantment that's doing it as well. The way that I look at it is more of a defensive spell. You hold it up and you leave like your counter magic with it, you know. That way you can kind of respond to spells, or, you know, if somebody's coming at you for a lot and you happen to have had this thing for a long time, you can even like cast things like Aetherize, or, you know, big spells like that off of it. Then we've got Leyline of Anticipation. This card, of course, is great. Gives all your stuff flash. You definitely want that in this style of deck. That way you can, once again, hold up your control for when you want to use it at your leisure. And they've got Mind's Dilation, another really cool card. Not a lot of people have really, I don't know, explored this card in my opinion. It's really, really, I don't know. Depending on what your opponents are playing, it can be really, really good. I've definitely had it kind of be a dud sometimes, which is what you got to be careful with. Like, once again, if you're playing against like an infect deck or something like that, and you reveal they cast their first spell, and it's just like, oh, I have a 1/1 infect creature now. Oh, that's great. But then again, on the flip side, you could be playing against somebody that's playing like, what's a good example, like Animar, and they reveal their Maelstrom Wanderer, and now it's just like, oh, now I have a Maelstrom Wanderer. This is great. So, kind of interesting card. It definitely works in this deck because, once again, you can just slam it down, slam down like a big anything really, an X spell, and then just cast Mind's Dilation for free off the top of your deck. So there's that. And then there's some other things like QR the Crashing Wave, really cool Planeswalker. The QRs have kind of been disappointing. This one's probably my favorite out of the two. It works okay. Reliquary Tower, of course, you know, keep all your cards in your hand because you're going to be drawing a lot. But with that, I think the rest is just dual lands like normal. Of course, you can check the entire list out on Tapped Out like normal. There's some really cool, fun things in here. And once again, if you have any suggestions, just put them down there, and I'll definitely take a look at them and try and respond and all that good stuff. And with that, just like, favorite, subscribe as always, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.